Alright, fuckers, what's up? So, as you can see right here is my album collection. Here in Boston, there's not really that many good rock and metal stations up here, as it's pretty much all shitty rap and pop music, and all this other shit that I really don't care for. Luckily, I came across an app called iHeartRadio, and that's how I found out about Metal Jackie. And also, check out Liquid Metal if you have a Sirius XM. So, pretty much over the years, I've been buying and sort of collecting CDs. I honestly don't have that many. I probably have about over 50 CDs right here, mostly ranging from rock and metal and a few techno industrial stuff. Yes, it also includes new metal as well, and I don't care what anyone says, oh, it's not real metal. Shut the fuck up, alright? Not all new metal is bad, alright? I'm into a variety of rock and metal out there, as long as it's not shit like Paramore or a bunch of emo crap like Black Veil Brides or fucking Imagine Dragons. But in a way, you can't really consider them rock, but whatever. That's pretty much what I have here. This isn't my full CD collection though. I have more, but some I've misplaced and don't really bother looking for. If I find more and I get more CDs, then I may do a part 2. So what you see right here is only a glimpse of what I'm into. However, you can check out my rock and metal YouTube playlist to see more of what I'm into. So I'm just gonna quickly run through some of these, starting with Ride of the Lightning by Metallica. It's probably my favorite album from them. I know Master of Puppets gets all the glory and fame, but from start to finish, this album was great. Next we get is Adema, self-titled, a really good album. Look at this. And next we have is their second album, Insomniac's Dream, which is actually a mini album. This is actually what got me into Adema. You know, that Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance song, Immortal. Great song. Next we have here is Stained Dysfunction. Great album. The Blackening by Machine Head. It's probably my favorite album from them. Oracle by Kitty. I know Kitty gets a lot of hate simply because they were lumped in with all the other new metal bands. I don't think they're that bad. Their first two albums to me are by far their best and sound way more heavier than certain bands I hear now. It's a real shame that they are not as popular as they once were back in the early 2000s. Disturbed, The Sickness. Great album. This is back when they were new metal, and even to this day I still listen to it. Animosity by Sevendust. Great album. I remember getting this around late 2001, and I'd say it's my favorite album from them. Burn My Eyes by Machine Head. It's their first album and it's great. Professional Murder Music. I actually think they are kind of an underrated new metal band. I remember getting this in 2001 after hearing the song Slow from the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. But yeah, I mean, they're a pretty decent band, so. Daniel Lesden. I only have this simply because I'm really huge into progressive trance music. It just sounds really cool. Sinner by Drowning Pool. I remember getting this pretty much after SummerSlam 2001. This is by far the only good Drowning Pool album, and even to this day, it's such a real shame that Dave Williams died at a time the band was just starting to build a huge fan base. But what can you do? LD50 by Mudvayne. Really good album right here. This is something to listen to for all the people out there that shit on nu metal. We Are Not Your Kind by Slipknot. It's a pretty decent album, but nothing is ever going to top Iowa and a 1999 self-titled. All I See Is War by Sevendust. I only picked this up simply because I'm huge into Sevendust, and I want to support the band. This album was okay. The Sinister Urge by Rob Zombie. This for me was the last good Rob Zombie album. Don't really care for any of the new stuff. And as you can see right here, it's got some pretty cool artwork. And yeah. Slipknot 1999 self-titled. Great album. Nothing more I can say. Indestructible by Disturbed. This for me was the last good Disturbed album. And as you can see right here, it's got some pretty cool artwork also. Um, American Apathy by Dope. This is kind of a guilty pleasure band for me to listen to. I know a lot of people don't like this band. To me, it's not bad. It's kind of a trashy Marilyn Manson with more aggression. The Impossibility of Reason by Chimera. Great album right here. Like, I remember watching the Down Again music video on Headbangers Ball like around 2003 on MTV, and that song right there got me hooked. Great album, and it's probably my favorite. Children of Boredom, Blood Drunk. Really good album right here. The Best of Pantera. This CD right here pretty much showcases all the well-known Pantera songs. It even plays a few music videos on DVD, which was also included. Savestra by Otep. This is actually what got me into OTEP. Much like Kitty, they kinda have a Slipknot or Korn feel about them, but this time it's with a female lead singer. It's a pretty good album. Ascension. This is OTEP's 2007 album, and it's got a lot of pretty good songs on here also. Take a look at this. So, Killers by Iron Maiden. This was their very first album released in 1981, and it's a classic. DB9D9. This right here is another underground band that none of you have ever heard of. Like, if you're into KMF DM and 90s type industrial music, then I'd give it a listen. It's pretty decent. Year of Spider by Cold. I actually got into this band when WWE used to play rock and metal songs in promo videos for pay-per-views. And I must say, it's got some pretty cool cover art with a spider on the front. And it's got some Japanese symbols also. Unstable by Edema. This right here is their last good album before Mark Chavez left in 2004. This album also comes with a DVD that plays a few of their most popular songs, and even features a behind the scenes with the band also. I really do miss Mark Chavez in the band. I actually heard that he doesn't want to come back anymore, so, I mean, it is what it is. The More Things Change by Machine Head. This right here is their second album, and it's got some pretty cool songs here, with the exception of Colors, because I really don't care for rap. But, moving on. Hellbilly Deluxe by Rob Zombie. This was actually the first metal album that I actually bought from my local record store back in a small town I used to live in. Well, I actually bought the vinyl version first, but I eventually got this later on. Um, and as you can see here, it's got some pretty cool creative artwork. The vinyl version looks way better, but, you know. Coming of Age by Breaking Point. I actually got into this band after hearing the Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge soundtrack, and also from one of my favorite wrestlers, Rob Van Dam, so I think they're kind of hard rock or something, but it's cool, so. Aris by Sepultura. Really good album right here. It's probably my favorite from them. Next we got is Beneath the Remains by them. Another good album right here. Definitely tired here, man. So, ECW Extreme Music. I actually got this back in like 1998, and man oh man, how I fucking miss ECW. This was back when wrestling was fucking badass, man. Unlike nowadays with this PG garbage and this politically correct nonsense. But this video is not about that, so. Um, but yeah, this is back when ECW played licensed themes for some of the wrestlers. But as you can see here, you have Shane Douglas back when he was ECW champion around this time. Chris Candido, Tommy Dreamer, Taz, the Dudleys. We got fucking Bubba Ray, Devon, Joel Gertner, Big Dick Dudley, and Sign Guy Dudley. And as you can see here, we have the beautiful Francine. And I don't care what people say, Francine was fucking hot. And she still kind of is at the age of 48, so. Life on Display by Puddle of Mudd. I fucking love Puddle of Mudd. They're a pretty good post-grunge band. And this was a pretty good album right here, so. Next we have is Crossbreed by Infinite Division. Very underrated industrial nu metal band right here. I got this back in 2001, not expecting what to get from this. But after hearing it for the first time, I kind of liked it, so. Elements of Infinite by Allegiant. Really good melodic death metal band right here. This album right here does not disappoint. Like, metal nowadays sounds all the same to me. And I haven't really bought too many new albums due to most of it sounding pretty bland. But this is not one of them, so I'd recommend a lot of you listen to this. Around the Fur by Deftones. I bought this around 1998, and this is actually what got me into Deftones. And again, for all the people out there that hate on nu metal, listen to this. Anima by Tool. In my opinion, this is the best Tool album. This was actually Tool's second and angriest output, and Anima is pretty good. Like, I don't know what it is, but Tool never really seems to disappoint, much like Catatonia, but, you know. The Gift by Taproot. It's a pretty solid album right here. Nothing more I can say. It does have a Korn and Alice in Chains vibe to it. It's not bad, so. Next we have is Home by Sevendust. This was actually my first Sevendust album that I bought back in 1999. It's a really good album right here. It's got some pretty cool songs like Waffle, Bender, The Licking Cream, Denial, Reconnect, and a few more that I can name. And as you can see here, it's got the lead singer from Snot that passed away. I believe he was a friend of LeJohn's or something like that, but you know. Next we got is www.pitchshifter.com from, well, Pitchshifter, of course. I got into this band after hearing a few songs from Twisted Metal 3, and I have to say, this is a pretty good industrial rock techno band right here, so, you know, Some of my favorite songs on this were Disposable, Genius, Microwave, Please Sir, and WYSIWIG. But yeah, this was pretty good, so. Next we got is WWF Full Metal. I actually got this around 1996 from my uncle as a birthday present, and this was actually around the time I was getting into wrestling. You know, that in your house new generation era, which I consider a transitional time for the WWF into the Attitude Era. But this album right here pretty much features themes from the wrestlers during this time, from Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor Ramon, The Undertaker, Goldust, Psycho Sid, Bret Hart, and a few more. But it also features two songs that would eventually become the official themes for the Attitude Era, in Thorn in Your Eye and We're All Together by Slam Jam. And I think Anthrax were a part of this too. But yeah, those songs were pretty badass and a part of the reason for getting me into rock and metal music, so. True Parallels by Trust Company. It's a pretty decent album right here. And this right here is their first album. And this right here is pretty good, so. I actually prefer this over their second, so. But they were a pretty underrated band, but you know. The Height of Callousness by Spineshank. It's a pretty solid industrial nu metal album right here. I used to love listening to them back then when I was a teenager, but for some reason I don't quite enjoy it as much. But it's still pretty exciting to listen to. Well, that is if you're a teenager, but you know. WWF Forcible Entry. This was actually the last album I ever bought from WWE. This is back when they used to play a lot of rock and metal songs for their shows and pay-per-views. Now, not so much, judging by what I see, because all they're playing is shitty pop and rap music from shit like Flo Rida, whatever, but yeah. This album right here is not bad. It actually features a bunch of theme songs for wrestlers during this time in 2002, which were performed by other bands like Drowning Pool, Seven Dust, Dope, Saliva, Stereo Mud, and a few more, so. And the bands here are pretty decent, with the exception of Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock. But aside from those songs, they're not bad. Come Clean by Puddle of Mudd. It's a pretty good album right here. I first bought this after Survivor Series of 2001, and it's got some good songs here, so, you know. With the exception of She Hates Me. I can't fucking stand that song, seriously. But yeah, this was a pretty solid album from a post-grunge band, so, you know. Next we have is The Manufacturer by Fear Factory. It's by far their best album. Really good industrial metal band right here. Now this right here is tied with their 1999 self-titled. Iowa is fucking great. You know, just a lot of great songs on here from Disaster Piece, People Equal Shit, you know, My Plague. You know, just a lot of great songs on here, but, you know, moving on. Next we have is Empty by God Lives Underwater. This right here is a very underrated band right here. It's such a real shame they never got much recognition. They're pretty much industrial techno rock, and honestly, I love almost every single song on this album right here. You know, just a lot of great songs on here, man. You know, this came out around 1995, and it still holds up. Definitely give these guys a listen. All right, the next we got here is Ghost Brigage. You know, pretty good melodic death metal band right here. Um, you know, they're actually one of the few more modern bands I actually did like. So yeah, it's pretty good. Moving on. Every 6 seconds by Saliva. This is not bad. I kind of used to like this band, you know, but now not so much, you know. But it's all right though, you know. Next we have here is The Crown of Phantoms by Chimera. This right here is sadly their last album, and it sucks that they broke up. So, but you know, what can you do? Hopefully one day they get back together. But this album right here is pretty good. Was it their best? Probably not, but it's still pretty good though, and a pretty good send off for the band. Static X original album series. I'm a huge fan of Static X, and this right here pretty much showcases all their albums. Yeah. God Hates Us All by Slayer. This was actually my first Slayer album. As we all know, of course, this coincidentally came out around 9/11, but it's still a great album by them. Yes, it sounds very simplistic from their earlier stuff, but it's still pretty brutal. Back in Your System by Saliva. Hmm, it's not bad. That's all I can say. Man, I'm pretty tired, man. And the final album we have right here is Apotropis by Legion. Great album right here. This came out last year, and I was heavily impressed by it, you know? They just somehow managed to stay true to their sound while keeping it fresh and interesting. For me, there is not a weak track on here, and it's definitely worth listening to. And that's pretty much it for my sort of mini album collection. I may do a part 2 if more CDs come in, but as of right now, fuckers, that's it for my video.